Now, there are two aspects now that branch off from this calling yourself Salafi. The first aspect is where some people call themselves Salafi, but they mean by it tazkiyah of themselves. They want to praise themselves. They want to make themselves known and stand out as if they are the best. They are the firqatun najiha, the safe sect, and everybody else is going to go to hellfire and everybody else is wrong. If one calls himself Salafi with this in his mind, to show he's better than the others, then I will say it's not permissible to call himself Salafi. It's haram. He's going to incur upon himself sin, and he's going to send people astray and away and deviate them away from Salafi, put them off. But if the intention behind attributing oneself to Salafiyyah is to attribute yourself to that which is correct amongst a cloud of misconceptions, for tam'eez, for differentiation, for clarity, for bayan, then I will say it's wajib, it's an obligation. But unfortunately, this day and age, many people ascribe themselves to Salafi, to the Salaf-as-Saleh, and say they're Salafi, but they're not Salafi. That's one. Second thing is, there are a lot of enemies to Salafiyyah, like Nuh Hamim Kala, like, who else? Can you give me some more names, brothers? Hamza Yusuf, like Riyad al-Haq, and many others up and down this country of UK and America, who have this allergy to the word Salafi. They break out into a storm when somebody calls themselves Salafi. These people, ikhwan, only portray to the people, the general people, the Salafis who misuse the word Salafi. Because let's face it, there are Salafis today who call themselves Salafi, and they show to the people hizbiyah, partisanship. They show to the people shiddah, extremism, ghulu. They give a wrong impression of Salafiyyah. And so, the likes of Hamza Yusuf, Nuh Hamim Kala, and all these du'ats of dalala, they all come along and they grasp this opportunity to throw a bad light on Salafiyyah. And show to the people that you see, the word Salafi is a group. Yarhamakullah. They're making themselves a group into a group, and they have partisanship amongst themselves. But then there are others, and they are the minority, who call themselves Salafi, but not for the sake of praise and ghulu and extremism and to think that they are above others, but rather for tam'eez only, to show that this is the right path, the straight path, the path to follow, which is correct, as opposed to all these paths that are wrong. The paths of shirk and the paths of bid'ah exist around them, and they're trying to clarify the path for the people and say, look, this is the correct path and this is the wrong path. And they attribute themselves to the Salaf-as-Saleh, the first three generations, and all those who followed them correctly. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said in his fatwa that there is no blame on the one who attributes himself to the Salaf-as-Saleh. There's no blame on him. And Shaykh al-Islam was an ayah, a sign of this ummah. The only people who speak ill of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah are the Sufi, the extremists of the various sects of Sufism and Shiaism. Whereas everybody else, when Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah's name is mentioned, they're quiet, they accept it. This is why he was given the title Shaykh al-Islam, the Shaykh of al-Islam. And he said there's no blame in the one who attributes himself to Salafiyyah, to originate himself to the Salaf-as-Saleh. But we understood that in the manner which I explained earlier, that you do this for bayan, for clarification only, to show the right path, to show the right path being distinct from all these many paths. Shaykh Nasiruddin al-Albani, rahimahullah, he was questioned and said, "Oh Shaykh, why do you call yourself Salafi when Allah has called us Muslims in the Quran. This person who asked this question was very adamant. You shouldn't call yourself anything but Muslims. Don't even call yourself this, don't call yourself that. No name of a group, nothing. We're Muslims. Allah said, who was sammakum Muslim? That He has named you as Muslims. So therefore you've got no right to name yourself with anything else. This is a verse in the Quran. Then Shaykh al-Albani rahmatullah alayhi, he replied and said, okay, fair enough. We are Muslims. But which Muslim are you? A Sunni or a Shia? And the person said, I'm Sunni. He said, why did you find a need to say you're Sunni and not a Shia? He said, I don't want to be amongst the Shia, those who done X, Y and Z and make shirk and worship Ali and believe in the 12 Imams and so on and so forth. And he said, likewise, we call ourselves Salafi because amongst the Sunnis today, there are so many groups, so many people within the Sunnis that make shirk, that do bid'ah, that call to different groups and ways that are deviated. So that we call ourselves Salafi in order to make finer or fine-tune the correct path and make clear the correct path from the wrong path. That was his reply. So Ikhwan, I hope this is inshallah sufficient, because remember we said that these duruus of manhaj will not exceed more than half an hour. And I think I've just exceeded that. If there's any questions that somebody wants to raise, then you can raise. But before we do this, I hope it's clear now why we saw on the poster the second National Salafi Conference, to show the people that it is Salafis that are organizing this group, that are organizing this conference, and that we are Salafi for attributing ourselves to the Salaf-as-Saleh. And we didn't mean by this any tazkiyah or trying to make ourselves better than others, we didn't mean by this any partisanship and so on and so forth. And all those who accuse us of that, they should reflect and question their own souls, themselves, and think that before they accuse anybody of something, that they should come to them and ask them, brother, what did you mean by this? What did you mean by this? And give us a chance to explain, and then you'll find the brotherhood will remain, the hearts will be together, and there will be no need for any bad feelings or speech. But when they allow the shayateen to waswas in their ears, and they have this su'ad-dhan, this evil suspicion about their brothers, which is haram, as Allah said in the Quran, وَإِنَّ بَعْدَ الظَّنِّ إِثْمٌ, and some of the suspicion is sin. And they had climbed aboard this sin, and they had suspicion about their brothers, thinking that their brothers call themselves Salafi because they think they're better than everybody else, because they think that they were more pure and more righteous, or they're trying to make everybody into a group. So we forgive them. We forgive them because we love them for the sake of Allah, and we know that they are our brothers, and they have a misunderstanding, that they've been fed the wrong information. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us and guide them aright. Questions? Jazakallah khair. I explained about Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah, his status. Who is Shaykh Nasiruddin al-Albani? Shaykh Nasiruddin al-Albani, rahmatullah alayhi, was the muhadeeth of this era. Muhadeeth is a person who studies the science of hadith to a level where he's given a title just below mujtahid. A muhadeeth is just less than a mujtahid, though he himself, many of the scholars say he's a mujtahid. The point, ikhwan, is that Shaykh Nasiruddin al-Albani has been given tazkiyah by every scholar that was alive on this earth today, righteous scholar, like Shaykh Nasiruddin, like Shaykh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz, Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, even Shaykh Muqbil, Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, and the scholars before them. Their scholars gave tazkiyah of him as well. He was an ayah accepted, a sign accepted by the whole of this ummah to be the muhaddith, or what's the word? There was basically, he was when you want to give a stamp of approval of hadith, he was it. He was the authority. He was the authority of hadith of this day and era. On his life, he went through all the books of ahadith, or many of them, most of them, and he went through all the hadith, and he sifted out the da'if from the mawdu, from the munkar, and he said these ones are sahih, and these ones are da'if, and these ones are hasan, and these ones are so on and so forth. He done a works of which nobody has ever done like him in this time. So he was known for this. All the scholars that live on this earth today, they always refer back to his books, his checkings. So therefore Shaykh Nasiruddin al-Albani was known, his status was well known, and he was known to be, if not the greatest scholar alive of his time, then he was the second greatest.